Hey everyone, welcome back to Chains of Olympus. I'm sorry again about the delay, but this video is actually probably one of the more boring ones. Good beginning, but gets a bit monotonous, so that's probably one of the other reasons why it's taken me so long to record this commentary. So our general aim now is to activate a switch on the floor in the main room of this place to make a bridge. And to do that we've got to go all over the place. And to be honest, this wall here isn't the most obvious. You've got to sidle across it. But we've got another hidden chest here, which is actually really easy to miss in my opinion. Because if you activate the switch too quickly, the camera won't pan around enough for you to see it. So once that's done, we can jump on down. And I'd leave those chests there just in case. We should never know what's going to happen. And for some reason they just decided to have a room full of archers, which is just a nuisance in itself. So once they've all been one-shot killed, you can activate that little switcheroo up there. And I always like that nice little blade flick at the end. And I do use that move more often than I thought I did. So we need a key. Isn't here, but it's in the next room. So again, we've got another glowing thingy, but we can actually do something with this one. But before we do that, we need to grab that key. Oh, we'll take the key last, but we want to kick Matey off over here, thus giving us a button presser for the switch. And with that key removed, we've come around full circle by here. And we can go ahead and drop the body on the switch. And then use the key we just picked up to open the bridge. So we got quite a difficult encounter coming up, or at least I found difficult, because this actual recording at the time, I think I died about 8 or 9 times in total. About 7 times here, and then a few more times later on. And my reason for the dying was these two twats in here. I just struggled quite badly at taking them down, and I just kept getting hit and all sorts. And it was not fun at the time. And it was at this point, when I was watching this back, I realised I could actually parry these guys. I really think I ought to try and parry more things in this game to see if you can parry them. So that there, didn't really realise you could. So after getting my ass thoroughly handed to me here, I could finally execute one of them. But luckily I managed to get a couple of bits of health. And I'm incredibly lucky that I managed to survive this. Part of me wished I hadn't, because this is what caused me to just constantly die. So we can pick up a new weapon now, which is extremely OP, and it can just, once it's fully upgraded, it just breaks everything. So the reason I hadn't spent my orbs was because I wanted to upgrade it as soon as I picked it up. Now this thingy can do aerial moves, and it can just absolutely obliterate people. And once you just hold down square or triangle for a second, it charges it up, and it can knock back enemies, and it can stun them, and parrying with it just makes enemies go flying. And one of the things which I'll show off now is how when you're in the air, holding L1 and square just to slam down on people is just stupidly powerful. Because people, they just can't really hit you back either, and it gives you enough time to fully charge it up. So yeah, it makes short work of enemies. But at this time it's still not fully upgraded, so it's not the best alternative to the Blades of Chaos. I like it more as the game goes on, but there are some points where you just need to learn when it's useful to have this and when it's useful to have the blades. But with this thingy now, we can now punch glowing things, which is good. And there is a trap here, but this is extremely easy to avoid. And once we're back through here, we can just punch all these statues, and this one on the left here has a chest which we'll want to get. All the clear chests now will just give us lots of red orbs, because I think I've got all the upgrades for the health and magic. So when you're using this gauntlet, it's actually pretty satisfying to punch things, especially these harpies, as I don't like harpies in any games I play. Their shrieks are very annoying, so it's quite satisfying. But the moves are pretty limited, and we can launch enemies up in the air with it, with a triangle move as well, so we're not completely free from getting like just hitting people on the ground. You can also punch Gorgons for active damage, and she goes down extremely quickly then, just from punching her. But we have more shield dudes who are not really much trouble with the gauntlet. But the parry move is just great for getting some space as well. So the overall aim of what we're doing at the moment now is we're going through a gauntlet of some of these kinds of rooms, and we'll be activating loads of switches and levers to pull chains across. So we do actually interact with the chains of Olympus. So a lot of these areas have these types of enemies where you're up close and personal with them, rather than bigger enemies to get to grips with the Gauntlet of Zeus. So once all the enemies are defeated, the I have no idea what to call it, but it comes up out of the ground and we can go ahead and move it. Some of these areas are pretty annoying, but they're pretty fun. Makes a nice change of pace from just bloody one enemy in one area. It's a bit more varied. And down here you expect to find breakable rocks as well. And quickly switching between weapons can sometimes be useful for that split second of somewhat slow time. And it's just always good just to try experimenting with both and see what you get. So pulling the chains opens up new areas for us to go to as well. And those chains are breakable, which isn't actually obvious straight away either. So we've got some more harpies now we can beat up. And it's not long until we get a very armoured up Gorgon. Cyclops, I mean. And these aren't too much trouble. The big problem is using the gauntlet can get you hit pretty quickly. So personally, I find it easier to do that because that can get rid of quite a bit of armour at once, and it's useful. And the Plume of Prometheus gives you a bit of space. So maybe on an easier difficulty you can try punching the armour off him, but I don't think it's worth it. Especially when you're trying to just keep your distance away from his stupid 3-stage attack, which can really mess you up. But luckily this arena is pretty big to fight him in, and the camera isn't your enemy in this part either. So, once he's been executed, we can activate the new switcher room. And I just completely forgotten that requires the gauntlet to punch. So turning this opens up a new platform we can stand on as well, slowly moving them into position. And it's almost there to unlock a new rank. There we go, I finally learned. So now we get another path here to take us along the top side. And this Titan is moving. Luckily those chains aren't holding up anything, so they're just there for aesthetic reasons. So, there's a couple of archers in here who are just a nuisance, so I want to get over to them as soon as and just cut their heads off. And as you can see there's a couple of red chests, but we can't do anything with them yet.
Kratos saw before him the remnants of the old rulers of Earth, the mighty Titans. Defeated by the gods and enchained in the depths of Tartarus, they suffered their unjust penance. And for their torment, it was well known that these immortal beings hated the Olympians with immeasurable fury.
And that's one of the many locked up Titans. And one of the many Titans we'll meet throughout the entire God of War series. Now we can power up our gauntlet to the next level now. So people can get twatted even more with a couple of new moves. And now I believe any extra red orbs we can put towards our magic. So if we head left over here, we can find a secret passage. Probably one of the more well hidden things to get to. So at this point the game's really throwing chests at you, so if you haven't got all the upgrades, then you should be nearing the completion of them by now. But there's a bunch of red orbs everywhere you go. So that rapid fire thing will be the last thing I upgrade, as I hardly ever use that. So the Ifrit will probably be the next thing, I believe. It's quite annoying that the Ifrit fully upgraded is actually a pretty decent move, but it's just I'd just rather spend the money on the upgrades for my weapons. So we've got slightly armoured Minotaur now as well. Plus we've got archers on the case as well, which is all sorts of fun here. My two most favourite things in one area. So using that we can at least try and take down at least one or two of them, just to get them off our backs. But still getting charged at. I'm surprised I actually did this, because this is probably what I had the most trouble with on my first play through on hard mode. But once he's down, it's easy enough then. Probably should have concentrated all my efforts just on him. I speed this up for you because it takes a while. Because I'd be throwing stuff at them, but you just keep getting hit by more stuff. And it gives you a chance to learn how to projectile parry a bit more. So once that's done, you can go and top up your mana as well. So we've got two things here. Got one with a chest on it and a one to open up the main area. And we can finally upgrade the Ifrit for the first time. so we can get increased damage now. And I'll be leaving it here for this video, so I'll see you guys next time.